Gabriel Martinez stared at the holographic message floating above his desk, its ethereal blue light casting strange shadows across his apartment. The sender's identity made his heart skip a beat: Lady Vieris, first matriarch of House Luminari and mother to his best friend, Riven. The message was simple yet cryptic: your presence is requested at the Luminari embassy. Today. Alone. As Earth's leading xenolinguist, Gabriel had grown accustomed to unusual requests, but this was different. Lady Vieris rarely involved herself directly with humans, preferring to delegate such matters to her diplomatic corps. Even Riven, despite their close friendship, spoke of his mother with a mixture of reverence and awe that suggested she operated on a different plane of existence altogether. The Luminari were among the first alien species to make contact with Earth, their arrival marking the beginning of humanity's golden age of interstellar relations. Their species was known for their bioluminescent skin that shifted colors with their emotions and their incredibly advanced technology that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Gabriel adjusted his formal attire, a blend of Earth fashion and Luminari sensibilities that he'd commissioned for diplomatic functions. The fabric responded to his touch, adjusting its color to a deep midnight blue with subtle constellation patterns, a design that the Luminari found particularly respectful. The embassy building itself was a marvel of alien architecture, a structure that seemed to float above the ground, its walls transparent one moment and opaque the next. As Gabriel approached, he felt the familiar tingle of the bioscanners washing over him, identifying and authenticating his presence. "Welcome, Linguist Martinez," a melodious voice echoed in his mind, the standard Luminari greeting protocol. The entrance spiraled open like a blooming flower, revealing a corridor that seemed to stretch into infinity. Lady Vieris awaited him in what the Luminari called the Chamber of Celestial Harmony. Her appearance took his breath away, as it always did. Her skin glowed with a soft silver light, occasionally rippling with waves of purple and blue. Unlike other Luminari who took more humanoid forms when dealing with Earth officials, she maintained her natural appearance, tall, elegant, with features that seemed to be carved from living starlight. "Gabriel Martinez," she spoke, her voice carrying the weight of centuries yet maintaining a warmth he hadn't expected. "Your reputation precedes you, though I suspect you wonder why I've summoned you directly." He bowed slightly, following the proper protocol. "Lady Vieris, you honor me with this invitation. And yes, I admit to some curiosity." She moved closer, her movements fluid like flowing water. "Tell me, Gabriel, what do you know of the Luminari convergence?" The question caught him off guard. The convergence was a closely guarded secret, mentioned only in whispers among the highest diplomatic circles. "Only what is common knowledge, my lady. It's a ritual of great significance to your people, though its exact nature remains private." A smile played across her luminescent features. "Indeed. What isn't common knowledge is that this year's convergence marks a unique moment in our history. For the first time, we are considering allowing a human to participate." Gabriel's mind raced with implications. This was unprecedented. The convergence was said to be the most sacred of Luminari traditions, a ceremony that occurred once every 50 Earth years. I'm honored that you would share this information with me, but I don't understand my role in this." Lady Vieris' skin shifted to a deep purple, a color Gabriel had never seen her display before. "You have shown remarkable understanding of our culture, Gabriel. Your friendship with my son Riven has not gone unnoticed. But more than that, you possess something rare among your kind, the ability to see beyond the physical, to understand the essence of things." She paused, her eyes meeting his with an intensity that made him feel as though she were looking directly into his soul. "I have chosen you, Gabriel Martinez, to be the first human candidate for the convergence. But more than that, I have chosen you as a potential bond mate." The word hit him like a physical force. Bond mate, the Luminari equivalent of marriage, but deeper, more profound. A joining not just of bodies and minds, but of souls, transcending species barriers and even death itself. "My lady," he started, his voice barely a whisper. This is unexpected, she finished, amusement coloring her tone. Of course it is. The best things in life usually are. I don't expect an immediate answer. The convergence is still 3 months away. But know this, I have watched you, studied you, seen how you interact with our people, with my son. You possess qualities that our species values deeply: curiosity, adaptability, and most importantly, the capacity for profound wonder. Gabriel stood there, his mind struggling to process what was happening. The most powerful luminary matriarch had just proposed what amounted to an interspecies marriage, something that had never happened in recorded history. Take time to consider, Lady Vieris said softly. But know that this invitation comes not from political necessity or diplomatic maneuvering, but from a place of genuine regard. You intrigue me, Gabriel Martinez, in ways I haven't experienced in centuries. As he left the embassy that evening, his head spinning with possibilities, Gabriel couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. Somewhere out there, the universe was probably having a good chuckle at his expense. After all, it wasn't every day that an alien matriarch proposed marriage to a human linguist. The next few weeks passed in a blur of preparation and study. Gabriel threw himself into learning everything he could about Luminari culture, particularly their bonding traditions. His apartment had become a maze of holographic displays showing ancient texts and ceremonial procedures. But nothing in his research had prepared him for his second meeting with Lady Vieris. This time, she invited him to her private sanctuary within the embassy, a chamber that few humans had ever seen. The room defied physics, its boundaries seeming to extend into actual space. Stars swirled overhead, and beneath his feet, galaxies spun in eternal dance. Your dedication to understanding us is admirable, Lady Vieris said, materializing from what appeared to be a stream of starlight. Today, her bioluminescence pulsed with shades of deep azure and gold. But there are aspects of our culture that cannot be learned from texts. She gestured, and the room transformed. They were suddenly standing in what appeared to be a luminary city from centuries ago. The architecture was organic, buildings growing from the ground like crystal formations, their surfaces alive with flowing light. This is a memory, she explained, moving through the illusory crowd. From before we made contact with Earth. Our society was different then, more isolated, more rigid in our beliefs about other species. Gabriel watched in fascination as luminary citizens went about their daily lives, their forms more alien than the humanoid appearances they now adopted for Earth interactions. What changed? Lady Vieris' expression softened. I did. Or rather, an experience much like what you're going through now changed me. During my youth, I encountered a being from another species, not human, but equally different from us. This encounter challenged everything I thought I knew about connection and compatibility. She waved her hand, and the scene shifted to show a younger version of herself meeting with a creature that seemed to be made of living shadow and light. His name was unpronounceable in any language, but his essence taught me that true bonds transcend physical form. Gabriel felt a sudden shift in the atmosphere, a deepening of intimacy in their conversation. What happened to him? He returned to his dimension, she replied, a note of ancient sadness in her voice. But he left me with a profound understanding, that love, real love, isn't bound by species, form, or even the laws of physics themselves. It's why I've spent centuries working to change our society's views on interspecies relationships. The revelation hit Gabriel like a thunderbolt. So this, your interest in me, it's part of a larger plan to change your society? Lady Vieris turned to him, her skin flickering with patterns he'd never seen before. No, Gabriel. My interest in you is entirely personal. But if our connection helps break down barriers that have stood for millennia, I would consider that a worthy secondary effect. She moved closer, and the air between them seemed to crackle with energy. I want to show you something few outsiders have ever seen. With a gesture, she created what appeared to be a floating pool of liquid light. This is the essence mirror. It shows not what we appear to be, but what we truly are. Gabriel stepped forward, peering into the strange substance. His reflection showed not his physical form, but a swirling pattern of colors and energy that seemed to pulse with his heartbeat. Next to it, Lady Vieri's essence manifested as a complex symphony of light and motion. "Watch," she whispered, moving closer. As she did, their essence patterns began to interact, creating new and beautiful configurations. "This is why I chose you, Gabriel. Our essences are harmonious in ways I haven't seen in centuries." The display was mesmerizing, but something else caught Gabriel's attention, a subtle discord in the patterns, a hint of something not quite right. Before he could mention it, Lady Vieri waved her hand, dissolving the mirror. "You saw it, didn't you?" she asked, her tone both impressed and concerned. "The dissonance? What does it mean?" She smiled mysteriously. "It means that our path forward will not be simple. There are forces at work beyond even my understanding. The convergence isn't just a ceremony, Gabriel. It's a moment when realities align, when choices made echo across dimensions." As if to emphasize her point, the room around them rippled, the starfield overhead intensifying. "We have 3 distinct challenges ahead of us. First, you must learn to navigate our world not as an observer, but as a potential member of our highest social circle. Second, we must address the dissonance we observed, its nature and implications. And third..." She paused, her skin pulsing with a color he'd never seen before. "We must prepare for the possibility that our union could trigger changes in both our species that nobody can predict." Gabriel felt the weight of her words, understanding that he was standing at the threshold of something far more significant than a mere cultural exchange or even an interspecies romance. Whatever lay ahead would challenge not just their society's conventions, but perhaps the very nature of reality itself. "I should warn you," Lady Vieri added, her tone becoming serious, "that accepting this path may change you in ways that cannot be undone. Are you prepared for that possibility?" Looking into her otherworldly eyes, Gabriel realized that his answer would shape not just his future, but potentially the future of human-luminary relations for generations to come. The scholar in him was fascinated, the diplomat cautious, but something deeper, something more instinctive, already knew his answer. The summons came at midnight, a shimmering holographic message that materialized in Gabriel's bedroom, casting ethereal patterns across the walls. The Luminary High Council demanded his presence for the ancient ritual of compatibility, the first of 3 trials he would face before being allowed to participate in the convergence. What the message didn't mention was that this would be the first time such trials had ever been attempted by a human. The council chamber was a vast sphere suspended in the upper atmosphere, accessible only by matter transportation. As Gabriel's atoms reassembled themselves, he found himself floating in what appeared to be the heart of a star, surrounded by 12 luminary elders whose forms rippled with barely contained energy. "Gabriel Martinez," spoke the chief elder, her voice resonating directly in his mind, "you stand before us as an anomaly. Never has a human been considered for the convergence. Never has a matriarch chosen an off-worlder as a potential bond mate." Lady Vieri stood apart from the council, her usual regal composure marked by an unusual tension. Her skin flickered with rapid patterns that Gabriel had learned to recognize as concern. "The trials you face," continued the elder, "will test not just your compatibility with our kind, but the very foundations of what we believe possible between species." The chamber darkened, and Gabriel felt himself being lifted by an unseen force. Streams of light began to circle him, each bearing memories and emotions from his life. He realized with a start that the Luminari were not just reading his mind, they were examining his soul. But something unexpected happened. As the lights probed deeper, they triggered a reaction nobody had anticipated. Gabriel's consciousness began to expand, reaching out beyond the confines of his human perception. Suddenly, he could see the Luminari as they truly were, not just beings of light and energy, but complex matrices of interconnected realities. Impossible, whispered one of the elders. He's accessing the quantum sight. Through this new perception, Gabriel saw something that shook him to his core. Lady Vieri's essence contained a familiar pattern, one he'd seen before, but not in this lifetime. Memories that couldn't be his own flooded his mind, a different world, a different form, but the same soul connection. You remember, Lady Vieri spoke, her voice carrying both joy and sorrow. I had hoped you would. The chief elder's form pulsed with alarm. Matriarch Vieris, explain yourself. In every cycle of existence, Lady Vieris began, her light dimming slightly, certain souls are drawn together across the barriers of space, time, and species. Gabriel's soul has danced with mine before, though never in these exact forms. The revelation sent ripples of shock through the council chamber. Gabriel's mind reeled as more memories surfaced, lives lived across different dimensions, different species, always finding each other, always separated by circumstance or fate. This is why the essence mirror showed dissonance, Gabriel realized aloud. It wasn't showing incompatibility, it was showing temporal interference. Our past lives are affecting our present connection. One of the younger council members floated forward. This changes everything. A soul echo of this magnitude hasn't been documented since the Great Convergence 3 millennia ago. But the chief elder remained skeptical. Even if what you say is true, it presents an even greater challenge. Soul echoes are notoriously unstable. The energy required to maintain such a connection across species barriers could have catastrophic consequences. Lady Vieris moved to Gabriel's side, her form synchronizing with his new quantum perception. Or it could be exactly what both our species need. The universe doesn't make mistakes in matters of the soul. The chamber erupted in debate, streams of light and energy flowing between council members in their native form of communication. Gabriel watched in fascination as complex arguments about quantum mechanics, soul theory, and xenobiology played out in patterns of light. Finally, the chief elder raised her hands for silence. The trial has revealed more than we anticipated. Gabriel Martinez, you have demonstrated abilities that should be impossible for a human. This alone would be enough to warrant further investigation. However, the soul echo phenomenon presents both opportunity and danger. She paused, her form shifting to a more formal configuration. We will allow the trials to continue, but with additional safeguards. You must learn to control these new abilities before the convergence. If the soul echo destabilizes during the ceremony, it could tear reality itself. Lady Vieri's light pulsed with what Gabriel now recognized as determination. I will teach him. The old ways, the forbidden techniques. It's the only way. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The forbidden techniques were exactly that, ancient practices of soul manipulation that had been banned for their dangerous potential. But before anyone could object, a new phenomenon began to manifest. The space between Gabriel and Lady Vieris started to crystallize, forming patterns in reality itself. The quantum strings that connected their souls became visible to everyone present, a spectacular display of cosmic architecture that confirmed everything Lady Vieris had claimed. The choice is no longer ours to make, the chief elder conceded, her tone carrying a mix of awe and resignation. The universe itself is responding to their connection. We must either help them succeed or risk a cascade failure that could affect multiple dimensions. As the trial concluded, Gabriel felt the quantum sight fading, but the memories remained. He understood now why Lady Vieris had chosen him, why everything had felt so familiar yet so new. They weren't just two beings finding each other across species barriers, they were ancient souls reuniting across the fabric of reality itself. But with this knowledge came a sobering responsibility. Their success or failure would affect not just their own happiness, but the very stability of spacetime around them. The pressure was immense, yet somehow, Gabriel felt more certain than ever about his path forward. The warning came 3 weeks before the scheduled convergence. Gabriel was deep in training with Lady Vieris, learning to control his newly awakened quantum sight, when every piece of luminary technology on Earth suddenly pulsed with an urgent crimson alert. Through his enhanced perception, Gabriel witnessed the fabric of spacetime beginning to fray. Massive tiers were forming between dimensions, threatening to destabilize both Earth and the luminary homeworld. The universe was literally coming apart at the seams. "It's happening too fast," Lady Vieris' voice carried an edge of fear he'd never heard before. Her normally brilliant aura had dimmed to a concerned violet. "The dimensional barriers are collapsing decades before our predictions." The Luminary Embassy transformed into an emergency command center. Holographic displays showed the growing rifts, while quantum measurements indicated a catastrophic breakdown in the fundamental forces holding reality together. The soul echo, Gabriel realized, watching the patterns of destruction. "It's not just about us, is it? There are millions of connections like ours trying to reconnect across dimensions." Lady Vieris' form shimmered with confirmation. The Great Convergence was meant to be a controlled reunion of soul echoes across the multiverse. But something has accelerated the process. Our connection may have been the catalyst. The Chief Elder materialized in the chamber, her usually composed form crackling with urgency. "The forbidden techniques you've been practicing, they've weakened the barriers faster than anticipated. But they may also be our only hope for survival." Through his quantum sight, Gabriel could see the truth of it. The techniques Lady Vieris had taught him, ancient methods of soul manipulation that had been banned for their dangerous potential, had inadvertently created resonance points in the fabric of reality. But within that same resonance lay a possible solution. "If we can't stop the convergence," Gabriel said slowly, an idea forming in his mind, "maybe we can guide it. Use our connection as a template for how souls can safely bridge dimensions." Lady Vieris' light pulsed with sudden understanding. A quantum harmonization. But the energy required, it would mean fully merging our souls ahead of schedule, without the protective ceremonies of the convergence. The risk of such an attempt, the Chief Elder began, but was interrupted by a violent tremor that shook the very foundations of reality. Through the embassy's quantum viewers, they watched in horror as the first major rift opened above New York City. Similar tiers were appearing above every major city on Earth and the luminary homeworld. Through these gaps in reality, other versions of their worlds became visible, countless parallel dimensions bleeding into one another. "We don't have a choice," Gabriel insisted, reaching for Lady Vieris' hand. Where their energies met, reality itself seemed to stabilize. "Every moment we wait, more rifts open. We have to try." Lady Vieris turned to the Chief Elder, her form resolute. "Prepare the harmonic chamber. We'll need to channel the energy of both worlds to have any chance of success." The next few hours were a blur of preparation. The harmonic chamber, a massive spherical structure that usually hosted the convergence ceremony, was modified to focus the combined quantum energy of Earth and the luminary homeworld through Gabriel and Lady Vieris' soul connection. As they took their positions within the chamber, Gabriel felt a moment of pure clarity. Through his quantum sight, he could see the intricate web of soul echoes stretching across dimensions, countless versions of himself and Lady Vieris, all drawn together by an love that transcended the boundaries of space, time, and species. "Whatever happens," Lady Vieris spoke softly, her form synchronizing with his, "know that finding you again was worth every risk." The chamber hummed to life, channeling the combined energy of two worlds through their joined essences. The sensation was beyond anything Gabriel had ever experienced. Every atom of his being was singing in harmony with the universe itself. As their souls began to merge, Gabriel saw everything. He saw their past lives across countless dimensions. He saw the true nature of reality, not a single universe, but an infinite ocean of possibilities, all connected by threads of consciousness and love. He saw why the Luminari had really come to Earth, not just for diplomatic relations, but because they had sensed the approaching convergence and knew that humanity would play a crucial role. But most importantly, he saw the solution. The rifts weren't a catastrophe to be prevented, but a natural evolution of reality itself. The universe wasn't coming apart, it was trying to remember its own wholeness. Through their merged consciousness, Gabriel and Lady Vieiris began to guide the convergence. Instead of fighting the collapse of dimensional barriers, they created safe pathways for the energy to flow. Their soul echo became a template, showing other connections how to bridge the gap without causing destruction. The process was excruciating. Every quantum pathway they established felt like fire flowing through their joined souls. But gradually, the chaos began to stabilize. The violent rifts transformed into elegant bridges between dimensions. The universe wasn't tearing itself apart anymore, it was healing itself. In the chamber's quantum viewers, they watched as the sky above Earth transformed. The terrifying tears in reality became beautiful auroras, shifting curtains of light that represented stable connections between dimensions. On the Luminary homeworld, similar phenomena appeared, creating a spectacular display that would be visible for generations to come. But the price of success was higher than anyone had anticipated. As the final quantum pathway stabilized, Gabriel and Lady Vieiris made a stunning discovery: their souls had merged so completely that separation might be impossible. They had become something entirely new, a bridge between species, between dimensions, between all the infinite possibilities of existence. In the days following the Great Convergence, Gabriel and Lady Vieiris existed in a state that defied conventional understanding. Their merged consciousness experienced reality on multiple levels simultaneously: physical, quantum, and something entirely beyond both. The Luminari called it the unified state, but even their ancient texts hadn't predicted its full implications. The harmonic chamber had become their sanctuary, the only place where the intense energies of their merged form could exist comfortably. Through the quantum viewers, they watched as both Earth and the Luminari homeworld adapted to the new reality. The dimensional bridges they'd helped create had become permanent fixtures in the sky, ribbons of light that served as constant reminders of the universe's interconnected nature. "We've become something unprecedented," Lady Vieiris' thoughts merged with Gabriel's, their consciousness dancing through multiple dimensions simultaneously. Neither human nor Luminari, but a gateway between all possibilities. Through their shared perception, they witnessed how their transformation was affecting both species. Humans across Earth were beginning to show signs of awakening quantum awareness, while the Luminari were experiencing unprecedented levels of emotional depth and innovation. The boundaries between species were becoming more fluid, yet each retained their unique essence. But it was the personal revelation that struck them most profoundly. As they explored their merged state, they discovered that their soul echo wasn't just about past lives or romantic connection, it was part of an ancient cosmic design, a blueprint for evolution itself. The chief elder arrived with a delegation of both human and Luminari scientists. Their auras reflected a mix of awe and concern as they studied the transformed couple. "We've decoded the quantum patterns emanating from your merged form," the elder announced. "They match prophecies so old we dismissed them as myths." Through their shared consciousness, Gabriel and Lady Vieiris accessed these ancient records. They saw that the universe had always intended for species to find each other, to merge and evolve together. Their union wasn't an anomaly, it was the first step in a cosmic dance that had been choreographed since the beginning of time. But there's something else. Gabriel's individual consciousness surfaced briefly. "Something we haven't told anyone yet." Through their quantum perception, they had discovered that their merger hadn't just affected the present, it had rippled backward and forward through time, creating new possibilities in both directions. Lady Vieiris' essence pulsed with agreement. Together, they revealed what they'd seen: their union had created a new type of being, one that could exist simultaneously across multiple dimensions. More importantly, it had opened the possibility for others to follow their path. "We're not just a bridge between species, their merged voice echoed through the chamber. "We're a template for what both humanity and the Luminari can become. Not by abandoning what they are, but by embracing the infinite possibilities of what they could be." The revelation sent shockwaves through both societies. Some feared this change, seeing it as the end of both species' unique identities. Others recognized it as the next step in cosmic evolution. But what no one could deny was the beauty of what Gabriel and Lady Vieiris had become. In the quantum realm, their merged form appeared as a constellation of infinite possibilities, each point of light representing a different version of their love story played out across dimensions. Yet instead of these variations creating discord, they formed a harmony so profound it brought tears to the eyes of even the most stoic Luminari elders. "There's one more choice to make," they announced to the gathered delegation. "We can remain in this merged state, serving as a living bridge between dimensions, or..." They paused, their combined consciousness reaching out to touch the quantum fabric of reality itself. "Or we can share what we've learned, showing others how to achieve this state while maintaining their individual essences. Not everyone needs to merge completely as we have, but everyone deserves to know that these possibilities exist." The choice seemed impossible: remain as they were, a unique phenomenon that could guide both species through the challenges ahead, or risk everything to show others the path they discovered. But in their merged state, they understood that true love wasn't about holding on, it was about sharing what you'd found. In a gesture that combined Luminari elegance with human compassion, they began to separate their consciousness, not to return to their former selves, but to become something even more remarkable, two distinct beings who could shift between merged and individual states at will. As they demonstrated this new way of being, the quantum viewers recorded an unprecedented phenomenon. The dimensional bridges in the sky began to pulse in sync with their transformation, as if the universe itself was applauding their discovery. "This is the true gift," they explained, now speaking as two harmonious voices rather than one merged consciousness. "Not just the ability to transcend our original forms, but to choose how we exist moment by moment. To be both individual and united, separate and whole." The implications were staggering. They had discovered not just a new form of existence, but a new way of looking at relationship itself, not as a fixed state, but as a dynamic dance between unity and individuality. As the news spread across both worlds, Gabriel and Lady Vieiris began preparing to teach others what they'd learned. Their love story had become more than just a tale of two beings from different species finding each other, it had become a beacon of hope, showing that the boundaries between species, between dimensions, and between possibilities were meant to be transcended, not through loss of identity, but through the expansion of what identity could mean.